this is new normal. It says a new normal is a state to which an economy, society, etc. settles following a crisis. When this differs from the situation that prevailed prior to the start of the crisis. The term has been employed in relation to World War I, September 11 attacks, financial crisis of 2007-2008, the aftermath of the 2008-2012 global recession, the Novid pandemic, and other events. But really, we heard it when during just now. That's when they really started pumping.
Yeah, the new normal.
The new normal.
It's, well, as soon as the shit popped off,
Instantly.
you had, it's a great reset, man.
Yeah.
It was weaponized, you know, into a tool. Because as far as for like, when you're dealing with something like the Great Reset, these are things that, and it's funny as well, because when you're dealing with like climate change, you're dealing with like saying, oh, we should switch to renewable energy, blah blah. Bro, all this shit, you monkeys on the ground, you know, nobody's ain't got no say in that shit. When you deal with all the energy people are gonna pay for is the cheapest shit. That's why you have the energy crisis now, where it's like the price, like all these companies failing. You got hundreds of thousands of people, their bills are going up by 200, 300, 400%. That's why they were just going for the cheapest shit they can get. They ain't got time to care about no goddamn fucking you know, if it's recyclable or if it's you know, wind powered or solar powered. They're basically just living hand to mouth. That's the thing. So it's like the guys who sitting there talking about these things. This is all top down. This is basically them saying, "Oh, your life is gonna change for my benefit," and it's really bringing in a new system of rule. That's essentially all it's gonna rise into. It's gonna be basically sort of changing, you know, how things ran previously to a new system, making it people, you know, palatable, acceptable, you know, desiring. You want more?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, so, let me read this. 2 Ezra 15 and 17. A man shall desire to go into a city, shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. That's the thing. It's, because of their pride, that's why all these things are going to come. Everyone's now, you know, completely prideful in this kingdom, in things continuing as they are. In you know, judgment basically not coming to pass. No one's thinking about Yahushua's return. No one's thinking. It's like we've been out prophesying for a great millstone from the apostles, from the elders and apostles that came before us. Prophecy's been going out for decades on end, back to back. That's why people are just like, oh, you guys are still doing that? Oh, come on, man, get a job. Because why? They're thinking just like, oh, you guys are still wasting your time. Nothing's happening. But hey, that's the thing. Their eyes are closed. Because as far as it's like, if you look, I remember back during like the 2010s compared to 2020, the amount of things that you've been hearing about, like globally, the amount of unrest that you hear about, the amount of economic crises, famines, all different forms of events are happening. To where it's like, it's because people don't watch the news, they don't know about it. Like the amount of famines, I'm like, hold on, this is coming up way more often than it used to. The amount of like civil unrest, the way like people are, like since 2016, the way like racial tensions have been. That's why the Kyle Rittenhouse thing is even a thing. They made that shit became a racial. It's like even
they gave
though
it a racial overtone.
yeah, and even though the truth has come out that they ain't got shit to do with like Jacob versus Esau, that's still to this day is spoken about as such. You had all these so-called black leaders coming out talking about, oh, it's a disgusting day that Carl Rittenhouse has been
nigga,
thingy.
sit down,
I was
man.
like, bro, this ain't got shit to do with you, man. What the hell are you talking about?
They just got galvanized by Antifa to really do what they want to do.
Yeah, there was
By
Soros
Soros
gang.
But you know, you read well, I went into I did a video yesterday, guy. But basically, they got 400 army military personnel, basically aiding in London or in around the country. I can't remember where specifically. With administering the vaccines to the people. So that's really, you know, these are the new normal. People, these whole deals with a thing known as gradualism. Let me even try and say that word, but gradualism. Incrementalism. I can't even pronounce it properly right now. But that's what he does. So you may say, what's 400 people all over the UK in a population of 68 million? I mean, it ain't that big, but it's becoming normalized. So when they say 800, 1,000, you know what? We're gonna have army military personnel walk on the streets because of this, that, and the other. It's basically laying the groundwork to establish this prophecy being put in place.
The groundwork's already been set as well. Around.
There's many other things.
Last time when you had, you know, these events go down.
Olympics.
Yeah, well, I mean.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. Like when these things happen, because of like there was that period of time where you had like 3 or 4 happen in the space of a year or a few months, where they were like, okay, now we're gonna. That's when they started putting the on the bridges. They got the little things, walking things, and so you can't drive on a site. You wouldn't be able to mount the curb basically.
Yeah.
And then like they had the military around everywhere, they had police around, gun police rolling around. It's funny because most stations, I think, still like international.
Yeah, they still have
they still have like gun police around on the regular. So the
I
ships.
used to work with one, so they'll be. I mean, the first time I see them, I was like,
Yeah. Like the straps looking legendary.
Yeah.
Man.
But they just do a walk every so often. So you just see them with the firearm, like a big rifle, sidearm, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, them man are looking to destroy. There's like where I work, it's nearby. It's like there's one guy that I see on a regular. Like he comes to my place and serves me, man. It's like, bro, the man's just there with a strap, and it's especially because it's not America where that shit's normal. So it's like it shows how much of a shift. Because bro, I didn't see gun police like in maybe like an airport or some shit back in the day. So it's like you didn't see gun police.
They're more practical. Well, they even used to have a marked car.
Yeah,
like
the
red
color.
And
They still do.
I believe this. Yeah, I know they still do. But that was more.
Like the only time they would.
Yeah, as far as my knowledge, you know, that's what I remember. Like gun police with red cars a couple of years ago.
And now
yeah, red, like be like a red police car. Like, yo, what the fuck is that?
You see some big motherfucking
legendary strap. But that's basically what it is. And then also there was a blackout northwest, I believe, up north basically. They said they sent 100 armed personnel up there to basically govern the people over there. So who knows what's going on with that blackout that's happening? This is the thing, you know, this is a time where you can have legendary shit and just be like, yo, is that believable or true? But because the Lord is just making these prophecies come to pass in different places, man. Right now, you never know, there may be a hardcore famine going on over there, man. No, very concentrated famine. And I like to use this example because there was a fucking tornado in Barking.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, that tornado,
that's
I was like, the
phenomenal.
footage of that shit was just
That
like,
is phenomenal.
because I remember, like, I think it was when Twister came out, when I was a kid, looking up like, oh, is there going to be like tornadoes in the UK? And the most is like gales, and every now and then you get like hurricanes.
But
then
it's a
like
hurricane.
tornadoes, like it's not really a thing that you'll get in the UK. So for that to happen, and in such a small area, that shit was localized. I don't know what the fuck was going on
It
there.
didn't
bro.
happen nowhere else. And that's what was bewildering. You see the videos of it,
You
and
just
I
like,
know
what
that
the
I know
fuck?
that area very well. So it's like there was a fucking tornado there.
And it's like they ripped down the wall here, and then like round the corner. I'm like,
Fucking fire.
like it was. But
Like
that
to
shows
a side road. And really, because it's a residential area, and there's a fucking side road that they had their garden wall like something. So it's like, how the fuck is a tornado like that?
But hey, it shows the time we're in. Now is the time where things are getting fantastical.
Hey, like the thing you said, not tank. It might have been tank. Yeah, he said
Very interesting.
yeah.
It's
Very
It's
real.
kind of all kinds of like, yeah. Second Ezra 16 and 19. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. These things are a mark of correction. Basically, you're meant to be heeding it to then be like, oh shit, something's going on. For people to be in the
Too much
mindset.
happening.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's like people are realizing, the funny thing is like the whole political climate of like having people losing their minds, going completely batshit crazy, you know, people denying reality, all these different kinds of things happening in regard to what you call it, to like just the discourse in how people reason in general. Like that should relate, you know, like, yo, what's going on here? It's like people can't even, this is the thing, it's meant to be society, but then it's like what, people can't, you can't even, like, if you, you know, one guy will be saying like, well, you know, I think, like you disagree on one point, and then you're basically going to be absolutely looking to suplex each other into the earth. Like for that to be going on, you got to be, like, people are like, yo, what's going on? What's happened? What changed? Back in like the early 2000s, it wasn't this mad. And they say, oh, because of social media, because of the internet. And that's the thing as well, it's like social media, you know, that's what people's brains. They said it's like kids have got all kinds of mental illnesses. They're all depressed, like 15, 13-year-olds are all depressed because they're using Instagram and they're feeling all jacked up, man. They're all
Someone
fucking
I know, I'll say off the camera, but someone, you might not know this, but she was saying, oh, I'm depressed, I feel low. And then, well, I'm about to say, my baby sister, man, because she's up on all that, our baby sister.
On social media.
Yeah.
Which that shit is like, because it's, I mean, for me, I've never since, like Facebook, etc. Back in the day, even the older ones. Well, the older ones might have fucked with, but like since, like after MySpace was the last one that I really fucked with. After like Facebook and whatnot, that whole new kind of generation of them ain't really fuck with them. But it's like for people that grew up, like were born, it's like there's people that were born like 2003, 2004 and shit onwards, and they're just like, they were immersed in it fully from when, like, they had a phone from when they were a kid, they had a tablet from when they were a kid, they've always been on these things, in social media, etc. They're just what, they're like, for them, their minds are gone, man. That's the only way they can interact with the world, through these apps. But then what, that's why everyone's, all these depression rates, people are getting medicated out of these situations on an absurd rate. But then what does it say about the state society lives and where it's going? No one wants to fucking think about it. Because everyone's basically just focused on they're getting as much goodness out of life as they possibly can.
And it's funny because you said, like, you know, they're not dealing with reality. Yeah, that's why the metaverse is here. Because what's going on right now, well, a lot of people don't, this is why the introduction of the metaverse is right on time. Because people are now being heavily, their mind is so heavily
Living within like
the confines of a digital reality, that the idea of NFTs and building a life with an avatar in the metaverse and all these different kind of things with Fortnite, and even the way Instagram has become part of the culture of its own. When I say culture, I mean the society we live in. It's that, like, there's certain things, there's ABCs now, you know, protocols that you have to follow due to social media, man. Like, I don't operate.
There's people that can lose. There's people lose their jobs over shit they post on social media. People, their life can just be over. You post something on social media, and there was I think it was like when the England football thing happened, where they fucking fell out for the penalty shootout when all the Jakes missed their penalties.
And racism,
And racism spiked to the most legendary. Those guys that had their name, their address, their job in their profile on Twitter.
And that's
saying the
because they're not-
wildest shit.
Yeah, they're not internet savvy.
Yeah. But then what? Them guys were wilding out. But then what? They were just like, you had people go on there, be like, okay, some message. You know that your employee is saying this, that. And then it's like, yeah, oh, we cannot associate. It's like, that shit happened to you. Like, then you're done, man. Everyone's folded, man.
And that's why they're talking about now having
Your identity linked to linked to social media. Saying, oh, because bullying people online. Really, it's about control.
Yeah.
That's the anonymity of the internet and the fact that it can be spread so easily. These things basically, you know, are a danger onto the elites. But then what? It's the unicorn. It's basically something the Lord had set up for the word to go out. It's gone out.
Because really they're trying to stop truth being pushed down to the people. And really the truth, the main truth being that the prophecy of the word, right? The Holy Bible. So let me read this article quickly. It says, it's from the Independent. It says virtual land within Metaverse.
Oh yeah, sold out.
Yes, sold for record 2.443 million. Alright? So it says a 500 square meter block of virtual real estate has sold for 2.44 million, breaking the record for the largest ever metaverse land acquisition. The purchase by the firm Metaverse Group is more than double the previous record for a sale of land or property within a virtual reality world. These are all the makers. Like, take your mind back to MySpace, Facebook, all the different social media platforms that initially started. How much holding or holding? How much standing did they have within the real world? Did it really matter if you had a Facebook account or if you had like a social media account? Did that hold any weight within the dating market or anything like that? Did it have any holding within the real world? Not really. Alright? But now, if you engage with a woman, you're a single young man and you're a single young lady, the usual thing is chat to each other or meet on a formal, informal ground, whatever. What are you gonna do? You're gonna exchange your social media accounts. So now she's basically analyzing, sizing you up by what your social media account, who's following you, how many people are liking your posts, how many people are commenting, what people are saying, what kind of things you're doing. Like now, that is part of you living within society. If you say to someone, I don't have a social media account, they'll be like, what, you're a serial killer or something? Like, what's going on? Like, why are you hiding from the public eye?
Yeah.
Like, it's shunned or looked upon as, something's wrong with you. So now, dealing with this, these people acquiring all this form of real estate within virtual reality, it seems like whatever, it don't mean too much. But some years and generations down the line, it's going to hold some standing in the world. Because you have someone say, yeah, I've got a townhome, I've got, a penthouse in the city, then I've got, a house out in the village somewhere, or whatever, out in the sticks. And then they say, yeah, I've got virtual, but sometimes I jump into virtual reality, do this, do that. Now that's going to become part of life. And that's actually going to be substantiate your value in the world, right? Or at least that's the idea that's being sold. Whether or not that gets established, something that's neither here nor there. But those are things that make you more black, make the corruption being introduced. right, have more fluidity, right? Because it'll say like, if you wanna, engage in virtual reality, the implant will basically allow you to jump in and jump out in X, Y, and Z. So it's all those kind of things, right? They're basically establishing a tone. You know what I'm saying?
So 2nd Ezra 16:19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anger are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of scourges. But yeah, that's now we're basically receiving all those signs of dying out. But what people are, it's funny because with like the digital land, even with all these things, the digital world making holding weight, people have, it's like with Instagram, the way people's minds are, like they're, it's like with filmers and whatnot, it's like you have a lot of women especially, where they basically present them, like they're how they are when you see them on camera versus in reality. It's two completely different things. So the metaverse basically it's one of those things where it appeals to you basically being able to present yourself how you want. What they call it in Matrix, man, residual self-image. You can look however the fuck you want to look.
Went over the top of my head. That sounds so funny shit.
Yeah, that's you can. But then that's why funny as well, because the Wachowski brothers became the Wachowski sisters.
Yep.
So that
One
leans
by
into
one
that.
as well.
Yeah. And that leans into what you call it, the that whole transition in a man just being able to become a woman, nothing mattering. Because it's essentially what Esau's he's trying to say, like, he'll be able to just change men and women into men into women. He basically wants to be able to have control over creation, be able to replace Yahweh Hashem Yahushua and say, okay, well actually I'm able to outdo you
and give you a form of control as well, because another thing, initiative that's being talked about as well is now they have any fans of musicians that buy into an artist early, they basically get some income from it. So say if you got like I take the example of Pumpkin, that's someone I used to listen to like years ago, like when it was Lil Wayne, I became into a so-called fan of him. Back when he was
a fanatic, brother?
A fanatic, yeah, fanatic. Of that individual when he was doing his thing with Lil Wayne. And then when he went independent, I really became a fan of him, because that whole model that everyone's following now of being independent and sticking to it, I was really a fan of that. I really liked any artists that just had their core movement. They didn't move away from their sound, and they just stayed in their lane basically. Because that's one of the things you always get with musicians, that they just sell out at some point and they dilute the music, water it down.
Like
yeah, they watered the hell down. Boy. I didn't even know they were fucking black rappers for the most part. I knew, but then it's like, when you realize
the degree to which
those
shit happened,
those are the same. But basically, if I would have championed them all the years ago, under this model they're offering, I would have been laughing right now, because it's like anyone is a fan of him. I'm like, I told you about him back in the day. You was laughing at me. But that would have mean that I would have enjoyed the fruits of his labor and the quote-unquote fanatic fruits of my labor as well. So now this is making me buy into a lot more things. And these artists are that's luminaries, right? They basically have some form of interest in the society being governed in the way into the new normal, heading in the direction that the elites wanted to go. So now they're just making it more and more difficult for you to really unplug out the matrix. Everything's tied in. Even another thing I'm kind of going on a tangent, but there's all knowledge in it, it's edifying. But basically, I've listened to one thing about dopamine detox. And guy was talking about basically breaking down how he don't want to use the phone no more. Where he said, okay, if I move away from using my phone as much, now if I wanna, he basically broke it down to different aspects of what a phone covers in your day-to-day life. So for example, you move into a new town, if you wanted to travel, you'd have to pull out an A to Z. You'd have to go through the contents.
I don't even know if HTs even exist.
They don't exist.
I was like, them man actually, I think they went out of business, the physical one.
Yeah.
They went out of business a few years ago.
They probably, turn it into an app if they manage.
Even then, it's like Google.
That's it. Like they really got margin, like pushed out of business. But the point being, I remember reading an A to Z because it'll be in every car you sit in. Like you get in your aunt's car, you get the A to Z will be there, in a glove box, or it'll be in the the back somewhere. And you just go through it. And then certain times you get lost, your mum might tell you, yo, pass me the A to Z. Let me work out where I am. You just go through the contents and work it out. Look for the road, go by the index and all that type of stuff. But are you going to be doing that in 2021? Hell no. No one ain't going to be bringing out A to Z. Not like the brother said. You might not even be able to buy it. Alright? But now you have your phone.
Yeah,
and if you don't even know. That's what I see. It made sense for it to become an app. So when you look at it, like everything now is in your smartphone. Right? It's hard for you to really step away from using the smartphone and be like, you know what, I'm going to deal with it.
Everything's been linked up. Like when it first came in, I remember I jumped on smartphones early. Because I had I'm not even that early. iPhone 1 was garbage. But like iPhone 3G, iPhone 4, like early on, like it was not everything would really work for it. But then it's like the way now all technology is made, it's like it's almost, it prioritizes smartphones. And especially once you like in like the West, people will still fuck with laptops and Macs and whatever. When you go into like especially in Southeast Asia, in India, and a lot of other places, people only have a smartphone and that's it.
And I remember even our cousin, he said to me, I was inquiring about smartphones, he was telling me about it. This guy's tech, he's always been advanced in tech.
Black Iron Man.
Yeah, that guy is,
Tony Dark.
Tony Dark. But basically, he was just saying, like, I said, like, well, he said, do you need a laptop? And he's like, oh, well, technically with this, you don't need a laptop no more. That's what he was saying. So the technology is so advanced and so, groundbreaking and so prolific that it's just, it has a life of its own. Now, the guy said, really the reason why this has precedence over everything is down to what? Ease. I know there's a better word than ease. It's escaping right now. Convenience, that's it.
That's how everyone's been destroyed by that convenience.
Yeah.
That's why microwave. It's like, use it like putting shit in the oven and wait for it to heat. That compared to a microwave, you're like 3 minutes versus like half an hour.
Yeah.
Damn. Like that's convenience has killed hella shit. That's why people drive cars. Once you start driving somewhere,
if you're driving 2 minutes up the road,
huh?
Get some milk.
You could walk. You used to just walk. You used to enjoy the fresh air. Now you just the stuffy car air, man. But were you gonna say something else or not? Let me read this. Revelation 13:16. The brother mentioned, everyone is basically invested in the system because what he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. So what everyone from the upper crust outside of the elite is going to be all these guys presented, the lower luminaries down to the peons, down to the workers, the worker bees. Everyone's basically going to be tied into that system. And you can see that's why it's like with the smartphone, that's been capitalized on, to whereas forward technology, they're more like, you more or less confused, man. I don't know if like if they were to do a survey like how many people wake up and check their phone, that's gonna be like 99 point something percent. Is that even me? The phone is my alarm. I remember you used to have alarm clocks.
Yeah.
Argos used to sell clocks with alarms and a light. Who the fuck needs a clock? You know, the only people putting a clock in their house is for like decoration.
Yeah.
You don't need a clock. You don't even really need a watch. That's why smartwatches became a thing. But you don't really need a watch. Watch is essentially irrelevant.
Yeah.
When you have your phone, like
everything.
obsolete hella things. There used to be actual like phone books. I remember my mum used to have one back in the 90s. Actual phone book with
Everyone
different
used to
colours.
have.
Yeah, everyone used to have people's numbers.
There'll
You
be
have
the
to
business
update.
one.
You have to tell you like, oh, thingy, this is their new house. So you have to get a landline. Who the fuck knows how to a landline? Landlines exist to give you internet. that's what they exist for. All these technologies now become irreplaceable. The fact is like maybe even the telephone. Like you like I remember when I was a kid, it's like you might be able to phone some people. You generally just go out and then hope you bump into someone or go to their house and see if they're there. You wouldn't even like sometimes you use the phone, sometimes you wouldn't.
And then if they went in, you go to every place you believe where they'll be at.
Yeah, you go to the shop there, you go to the park, you go to the other park, you go to the fourth park, and then you go back to the first one just in case they came when you were missing.
And if there's no one there, you might chill for a bit on the one, learn to climb the spring or whatever. Obstacle course.
You do it,
And then just go home.
you go to the library, read a book, back to the fucking God.
That was something.
Summertime, man.
There's no one playing out. There's nothing going on. You just go to the
Go
library.
to the library, read a book on
Tin.
sports,
Yeah.
Tins.
Tin.
Remember when I found out what it's free to rent books, take books and lie. That shit was the most freest entertainment ever. But that's the thing, all that shit's a myth now. You're just like, if you want to get in touch, bro, you be messaging, you be keeping in touch with people at 3 a.m., crack of dawn. Like, you don't even want to talk, you're just bored or whatever.
I can't lie.
You've got hundreds of thousands of apps with which to entertain yourself. You can watch millions upon billions of hours of
content,
Netflix, of YouTube, of Amazon, video, of
I can't even lie.
whatever.
That's probably why I'm so aloof, man, because it's too much.
Yes,
Information. It's overwhelming. It's like, I'm not used to this level of like communication.
It's overstimulating. Because that's why it's like, it's literally, bro, if you were to take someone from even the 20s, 1920s, and bring him to now, his brain's gonna fry.
Yeah.
His synapses are gonna bro, you can see sparks flying on his head. He's gonna turn into Ghost Rider. His head's gonna explode, man.
Spontaneous combustion.
Okay, let me close that. So I read that there's one more thing there. Ezekiel 28 and 2 says, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Most High Power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man and not a power, though thou set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from you. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches. Yeah, Esau's wiser than Daniel. He's been able to bring about all this technology that's been given unto him, all these miracles that have been given unto him. That shit is way above and beyond like what's been around before. And he's able to do things. That's why it's like there's certain things like can you measure the wind? Can you I can't even remember. There's a few examples like measure. There's all different forms of things that now have become trackable, measurable things, man. Like when you go on the BBC weather app, it'll tell you the wind speed, wind direction. When you got cold fronts and warm fronts, they can say somewhat predict. You know how well all these different weather phenomena. There's ways of measuring these things and working these things out. Measuring the intensity of different earthquakes and how where they originated from.
In the words of Cameron Giles, I keep confused.
Yeah, because it's really that like with like it's gone beyond a scale where if you're the same man for the angel world, they'll be like, yo, that's why John Marvel, man, all that America was able to do, all that these guys do, it was like, yo, damn, you see like Las Vegas, you see New York, you see LA, even to this day, people still be marveling. They see that, they're like, yo, they get them stars in their eyes. You watch what's the video from Thingy's last well, even Empire State of Mind, fucking hell. What's it? Not Heartless. Blinding Lights, man. What's his name? My boy. Nah.
What?
Man. Able to testify, man.
Weekend.
Yeah, Weekend. Blinding Lights, man. That's what it is. Everyone is you going in Las Vegas, you go in these certain locations, your brain's getting sparked out. I was talking with a man in the world about LA and how much of a shithole it is to live in, man. It's like, bro, most people there are in that entertainment industry, and they're like, they might work on a production for a season, but then once it's done, it's like they might make like 10 grand, then have to wait tables for the rest of the year because they're fucked. That 10 grand got stretched in like 6 months. They're waking up at 3 a.m. They're going like they're on production until like midnight, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock or some shit. Just so they can have their name in be known in the so they can be part of that whole system. But then what? It's not all as cracked up.
Yeah.
Everyone's they drop the call it. Says what with thine wisdom and with thine understanding. Thou hast gotten the riches, but hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasure. By thy great wisdom, by thy traffic, hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Yeah, it's got wealth, it's amassed, been able to build up this society, which is great in wickedness. But hey, Babylon the Great.
That's it.
And it says what? Therefore, thus saith the Most High Power, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations. And that's the thing, is all that has been done, prophecy still outweighs it by a metric fuckload, man. Prophecy goes way above and beyond anything that Esau's been able to attain. All these capabilities, being able to shoot up into space, being able to identify and break apart, break down, destroy atoms and create legendary forms of technology. These things are what? It's immense. It's spectacular that Esau's able to do these things. But then what? You still can't turn a hair on your head grey or black or orange. You could dye it, but if it rains, then everyone will know that shit's gonna come out. There's an approximation of it, pretend a time that just like the Magi's in Egypt, where they could imitate certain things. Then it's what doing it through the spirit is a whole different matter. It says what? Therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom. They shall defile thy brightness, and they shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas.
Hey, that goes into Joel, man. Let the weak sound strong. All them nations that Esau bullied, they have now, the Heavenly Father opened them up to have the technology that made them great as well. They now have the same sword that made them so great in their possession as well. Guess what? That same thing they've used to threaten and beat everyone into submission, basically, is going to be utilized on them. It's going to be, that's actually going to be the time it's going to really be used, is when the nations basically send their missiles, on America, man. And the World War III happens, and the Lord gets busy now, reveals himself in the heavens, man. And there's going to be a lot of cognitive dissonance and normalcy by and sky among the Lord's right.
Yeah, that's why
it's going to be unbelievable.
Like, you have the meme of the dog in a burning house, where it's like sipping tea, like everything's fine.
Yeah. Say your point.
No, that was it. I was just going to say...
the house was fire.
But it says, Will thou yet say before him, slayeth thee, I am the Most High, but thou shalt be a man and no power in the hand of him who slayeth thee. Yeah, that's
Total
great.
submission,
But, so yeah, we'll close up on that.
Alright.
Say all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Ha'akadah,
Double the
Shalom.